Let's quickly have a look at the tools required. You will need an iPad. I'm using the 7th Gen iPad here. Next, you need an Apple Pencil which is compatible with your iPad. And lastly, you need a Procreate app installed on your iPad. Once you have your tools ready, open the Procreate app. Tap on the plus icon that you see here. You can see a list of canvases that are available here. I will go with the 6 by 4 inch canvas. You could use any size that you prefer by specifying the details. So now our canvas is ready. Let's move on to the next part. I will be using the sunset color palette for this project, which includes the basic sunset colors, that is shades of yellow, oranges, browns. I have split them into 3 sections as you can see, so that you can easily identify the colors when I use them. Now once the canvas is ready, let's paint the background first. That will be our sunset sky. Tap on the color palette and pick the brown shade, which is the third color in row 1. Tap on the brush library, airbrushing, and select the soft brush. So this is the brush that we will use for the background sky. So I'm setting the brush size to about 10% and paint the top portion with this brown shade. Say about 3/4 to 1 inch of the canvas. Next, I will go back to the color palette and pick this orange, that is the third color from second row, and paint or the rest of the canvas with this orange shade using the same brush like this. Now I will go back to the color palette and pick the darker orange color, that is the first color from third row. I'm going to paint this section below the brown part, and I'm going to paint about 1 inch with this shade. We'll go back and select the dark brown from the first row, that is third color from first row, and darken the brown part. So the background sky is now ready, but it is not very neat and does not look blended. So in order to do that, to get a nice gradient, go to the adjustments icon and tap on the Gaussian blur. Tap on layer and slide your pencil and adjust the blur to about say 20 to 25%. So now you have a nice gradient of sunset shades. Now our first layer, that is the sunset sky, is ready. Tap on the layers and rename this layer as sky. I'm going to rename this layer 1, that is the background sky, as sky. You can rename it whatever you like. It's time to paint the sun to this background sunset sky, and let's do that on a new layer. I'll tap on the layers and create a new layer. I will rename this layer to as sun. Now tap on the color palette and I will pick the first yellow from the second row. Go to the brush library, airbrushing, and select the soft brush and set the size to about 8%. Now using the soft brush, add circular stroke like this slowly. I'm painting the sun somewhere towards the right, or you can place it wherever you like it. I am just creating that glow that you see around the sun and not the actual sun here. Now to paint the actual sun, go and pick the light yellow, that is the second color from second row, and go to the brush library, airbrushing, and select the soft airbrush. Now adjust the size and set the size to about 15%. Opacity is set to 100% and paint the sun by adding circular stroke like this. Adjust the size and make sure that it is smaller than the glow that we created behind it. So we have the glowing sun ready now. I am going to blur the sun a bit, so go to the adjustments icon, Gaussian blur, layer, and set the blur to about 6 to 7%. The sun layer is now done. It's time to add the details next, and we will do that in the next section. Now it's time to add the hazy background. So I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to rename this layer as blurry grass, but you can go and name it as hazy background. Now that the layer is ready, let's see how we can do that. Tap on the brush library, airbrushing, and select the hard airbrush. Now go to the color palette and select dark brown, that is the second color from the first row. Now using this hard airbrush, draw an uneven ground here. Now drag and drop this dark brown color to this ground section. Now for the hazy or the blurry effect, go to the adjustment icon, Gaussian blur, layer, and set the blur to about 15%. This looks good now. We have the hazy background. It's time to add the foreground details, that is grass or the meadow. Now let's add some grass in the background and we will be adding another layer of grass in the foreground. To do that, let's create a new layer and rename this layer as grass. I will go to the color palette and pick black from the palette, that which is the first color in the first row. For the brush, go to the brush library, calligraphy, and select the script brush. So this is the brush that we will be using for the grass. I'm setting the brush size to about 60% and I will add the blades. The size is too big, so I am decreasing the size further to about 34 to 35%. I will start by adding the blades first, starting from the bottom, so it has a fine tip at the top. I will add some shorter and some longer blades all over the field like this. Once the blades are done, let's add the plumes to the blades. Again, I will start from the rib going outwards like this. Add the feather starting from the midsection and take it all the way till the tip. I'm adding these feathers only on one side as they are leaning towards the right. Now repeat the same step and add the plumes of the feather to all the blades that you have sketched. Just note that I have not added the blades over the sun. We will be doing that on a different layer. I will go ahead and add few more blades in between. Now I will add few more blades in between, and I'm not adding the feathers, I'm just drawing the blades. I will blur this layer a bit, so go to the adjustments icon, Gaussian blur layer, and set the blur to about 5%. It looks good now, and it's time to add some more grass in the foreground, and let's do that in the next section. Now to paint the foreground grass, I will create a new layer and rename this layer as foreground grass. Now we will add the grass the same way that we did in the previous section. So I am going to pick black again from the palette, that is the first color and the first row, and I will use the same brush, that is the script brush from calligraphy. Now add the blades and feathers again in this layer using the same technique, that is add the blades starting from the bottom going upwards and add the feathers to it. As you can see, I'm adding some shorter and some longer grass blades and adding feathers to them. Again, I'll not be adding the grass blades over the sun. We will do that in the next section. Now I will add just the blades and not the feathers, so add them as much as you want in this layer. We will see how to add the grass blades over the sunlight in the next section. Now to paint the grass over the sunlight, tap on the layers and go to the first layer, that is the sky layer. Go to the color palette and select this brown, that is the third color in row 1, and using the same script brush, add the blades over the sun like this. Now, as you know that the blades will appear lighter in front of the sunlight, and this is the perfect way to do that. So when you add the grass blade stroke in the sky layer, that is right below the sun layer, it is going to create that perfect effect. I will add few more blades and add feathers to it. I'm going to make this bottom section of the grass plate darker, so I will go to the color palette and pick black from the sunset palette and add the darker stroke in the bottom section of this blade. Once that is done, I'm adding few more grass plate strokes in this layer as well. I'm adding more blades here in this layer in the bottom section to make it look more denser. I'm adding some finishing touches to these grass blades. So here is the stunning sunset over the grass field. Thank you so much for joining me in this class. I hope you enjoyed creating this spectacular sunset over the grass field. Now, if you want to practice how to paint a sunset, you can check for some reference images from websites that offer free photos like Pixabay or Unsplash. There are gazillion sunset photos that you can use as a reference. Until next time, keep painting and take care.